This isn't a cooking show, but it is about who's cooking up an agenda that, if allowed to go unchallenged, could put an end to sharing a wild California salmon dinner like this with friends and family.
One of the things that's obviously special about this estuary is that about 9.5 million people live around it. It's the second largest salmon producing system of the lower 48 states. We're pretty sure they can smell a little tiny bit of their home stream water. They're amazing. They're amazing fish. They've been coming through this area for more than 10,000 years. It simply produces nourishment for the coastal oceans north and south of the Golden Gate. It has such a variety of economically important fish species. We need to take good care of this estuary.
It's a nursery for babies, baby crab, baby salmon, and many other species. It's a special place that needs protection. It's also an example of nature's beautiful perfection. Humans are also capable of creating great beauty. We are truly amazing creatures. We can be so clever, but oh so gullible. There are people in Congress and in California who truly believe that if they keep spewing misinformation and falsehoods, if they just keep at it long enough, Americans everywhere will believe it. And when it comes to water issues in the Golden State, BS is still BS, no matter how many times it's said. So watch where you step. Recently, a committee of Congress took their show on the road to Fresno. So we took the Salmon Water Now video camera there too. The House Natural Resources Committee's Subcommittee on Water and Power held a field hearing. They called it Creating Jobs by Overcoming Man-Made Drought. So much for any attempt at fact-finding. After all, why bother with even an illusion of fairness when promulgating big agriculture's ongoing big lie is much more dramatic?
Attention.
Look at this sign. Watch as the camera pans around. Your eyes are seeing the truth, and that truth is the sign is a lie. A lie crafted by powerful, wealthy agriculture interests intent on changing laws passed by Congress to prevent the wholesale destruction of public trust resources, like wild salmon, and to claim as their own unlimited amounts of water. The Republican majority on the committee proclaimed the federal government created California's so-called man-made drought, and it's time that Congress act to fix it. They declared that actions are needed to supply the San Joaquin Valley with water and to put thousands back to work, feed the nation, and grow the economy. Well, thank goodness somebody gives a damn. And their hearing should certainly be a big first step to solving all those problems. But wait a minute. Didn't they leave a few things off their list? Little things, like say the restoration back to health of this ecological basket case called the Delta. And it would be good to include at least a few kind words for the thousands of people on the coasts of California and Oregon that depend on the Delta for their economic sustainability. And, oh yes, salmon. And balanced sharing of water. Fortunately, they invited one person who knows a few things about fishing. Now, right about now, you may be asking, what do crabs have to do with salmon? First off, like salmon, Dungeness crabs start their life in that Bay Delta estuary. You know, the one with a big bridge going across it?
This here
It's the mouth of the San Francisco Bay. This is where the baby salmon go to sea and where the adults come back in to go up the river and spawn. This here, that's salmon water.
Well, Larry Collins has been taking his boat under that bridge to fish commercially for crab and salmon for nearly 30 years. You'd know him if you saw him because he's always wearing this great Crabs Attack t-shirt. When it comes to his fishing business, he's a lot like other fishermen, catching crab in the winter and salmon in the summer. Until a few years ago, for Larry and fishing families like his, salmon had been 70% of his income. The committee asked for a commercial fisherman to testify about salmon, right there in the middle of the most agriculturally intense part of California. Welcome to Fresno.
There's no shortage of irrigation water this year, but a group of farm workers holding signs demanding more water lined up outside the hearing. Republican Congressman Tom McClintock called the hearing to focus on jobs reportedly lost because of environmental restrictions on pumping water from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta.
There's always been a lot of unemployment in the valley. The amount of unemployment caused by water dislocations is incredibly tiny compared to the much larger economic downturn that the whole country, and especially the state of California, has experienced.
Tom Birmingham of the Westlands Water District made the case.
In the San Joaquin Valley, we have lost in excess of 1 million acre-feet of water annually. Under the biological opinions and the Central Valley Project Improvement Act.
When those people signed their contracts, they knew there would be years that they would not be able to get their allocation of water. Yet they're the first ones to come to the plate and start crying about how they need water and how we're starving out this, that, and the other thing. Well, I don't understand why anybody's even given them the time of day. They knew it coming in.
But Westland's call for more water got a gruff response from salmon fisherman Larry Collins.
The rhetoric coming out of this west side of this valley is almost as toxic as the agricultural wastewater polluting our delta and bay. It isn't much fun being downstream of the corporate millionaire agribusinesses.
Republican Congressman Devin Nunes was a guest of the subcommittee. Many in the crowd cheered as he criticized Collins and Democratic Party leaders, saying they were all in league with radical environmentalists.
Don't be fooled. There is nothing that Senator Feinstein or Senator Boxer or President Obama are going to do for this area.
When you hear the words middle ground, dialogue, compromise, studies, what that means is sell your farms because the water's not coming back.
Water is a public trust resource. It actually is not a commodity. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to all of us. Keeping in mind the water supply is not the only problem down there is a clear indication that the way we've been allocated and distributing and using the water isn't sustainable or reliable in the long term.
For too long, our government policies have been misguided by politically motivated jump sites instead of the sober, dispassionate, and accurate application of real science.
The clock is definitely ticking. 45% of the native fishes of California, and that includes things like coho salmon, are headed towards extinction. We're making decisions right now that are going to determine whether these fish will be around or not.
City Hall was packed. Not one seat was empty. Everybody wants to know the future of water in the valley.
For all the fun the Republican members seemed to have, it was the comments from a fisherman who drove into the middle of the agriculture's economic and political engine to set a few things straight.
I have the fun job of being the salmon fisherman represented here today. You're all pretty cavalier about telling me that my job is over and there's no more work for me. I represent thousands of fishing families up and down the coast. We haven't been able to fish for the last 3 years. The problem started about 10 years ago when the pumping levels on the Delta jumped from 4.5 million acre feet to almost 7 million acre feet. You can see the corresponding downward spiral of the salmon. Fishermen are losing their houses, their boats, and their hope for the future and the remaining belief in their government. And still, people are crying down here for more water. There is no more water. Every drop is spoken for. You can't keep planting permanent crops. You've gotten way more than your share of water, and you got to give some back. Farmers and fishermen are a lot alike. We're both food providers. The weather can make us or break us. Mother Nature can be a cruel business partner. But the more water you take out of the system to smooth out your ups and downs, the more you guarantee the death spiral of my industry. These are public trust resources. We need to have them equitably distributed, and we got to keep the salmon in the river. You know, and on bad years, when there's not much water, it's tough down here in the valley. It's tough on the coast. It's been tough for the industry. And I know you guys have tough times here too. We need to work together. We need to get that balance back that we used to have. We used to have a balance where we were able to go fishing, you guys were able to go farming, you know. And you got to remember, salmon that's the main course, and the veggies, they're the side dishes. Thank you.
Salmon is the main course. It's time for salmon water now.